Good day guys. As you all know me, as a mentor, Nasdaq Ninja. So guys, today I want to teach you guys about a third touch. Guys, one of the most important thing that I've realized that is killing us in the game is actually increase. I feel like the whole thing of analyzing it has actually became easy and we really understand how to analyze. But when it comes to the entry point, it gives us a problem. So today I'm gonna only talk about third touch. So I'm gonna just write third touch. So this will actually define your direction and your entry point. So it's very important for us to know what is it that we're gonna be learning here. It's an entry and a direction. Guys, never mind my handwriting. Yeah, I don't know when last did I even hold a pen. But speaking of entries and direction, those are the most things that as a person you wanna know and you wanna learn, you understand? And once a person comes and actually tells you about entries, you feel interested because when it comes to the market, those are the most things that you really wanna learn. What is a direction without an entry? And what is an entry without a direction? Sometimes you do enter your trades, but you find that you didn't have a direction. Sometimes you enter trades, but you don't know your direction. And then the other thing is you can have the direction, but you don't know where you're going to enter your entry. So it's very important to know that these two actually go hand in hand. So I learned the third touch rule in 2021. I think in late 2020, but I actually implemented it in 2021. So with the third touch rule, it doesn't basically means every time when it touches the third touch, you need to actually enter a trade. Even on the fourth touch, 5, 6, 7, depending on the time frame. So with whatever I'm going to be teaching you, it actually works on H1, and H4 as well, it does work. Understand? So M30, it works best, and M15. So yeah guys, like I said, it actually works on M15 as well in H1 and M30. So these are type of strategies that I usually use in order for myself to enter entry points. So when it comes to daily time frame and a weekly time frame, sometimes those things can actually happen on fourth touches, 5 until it breaks it out. So that is why I don't like using it on a daily time frame. It works, but one thing that I like using it on a daily time frame, it's obviously on the third one, on the fourth one, until this thing can go over and over. So what defines everything? It's actually a trend line. So we need to understand that a trend line, this is how it works, and this is the basics of it. So we have a diagonal support and a diagonal resistance. So I'm just gonna start with the diagonal support. I'm just gonna take it from here. Understand? So since we can see the market will move like this, right? And then this becomes our first touch and this becomes our second touch, and then it will go at the top again and then come back here. So on the third touch, we have what we call 90% rule that the market will actually reverse. Understand? We have a 90% rule that the market will reverse. So this, it's not like a trial and error thing. It's something that when you learned it, you knew that this is going to actually work, and for days and for years. And after I'm gonna jumping into the chart and actually show you, but I just want to make sure that most of you guys really understand where to enter. Understand? So these places, in most cases, it can be manipulated because they really know that you're going to enter a trade. Understand? But for you to be more sure and more consistent is to wait for it to manipulate a bit. Sometimes it will touch and go immediately. Understand? And the higher the time frame, the stronger the trend line becomes. You get the point? So from this point, you're going to take your buying opportunity. So basically here, it will move to the top side. You put your take profit here, your stop loss below a bit. You understand? So when it comes to a diagonal resistant, you need to understand on a diagonal resistant, it works versa versa. It's the same thing, but it works versa versa. So in most cases, I like using it on a downtrend, not on a upper trend, because I feel like on an upper trend, if let's say I do this on the third touch, I'm expecting it. I'm not pretty sure, because in most cases it can break. This trend line actually means that the market is on a bullish market. It doesn't mean that the market is on a sell market. So most of the people, when they see an upper trend, they still want to break it, and they want to enter sales inside it. For me, I feel like this actually define a bullish market. You understand? So now I'm gonna just go to the selling position. Understand? So let's say this is my downtrend, right? and then the market moves from the bottom side and then come touch here. This becomes my first touch and then moves to the bottom side again and then go there, and then this becomes my second touch and then come back there, and then let's say this is my third touch. So I already know this is my 90% rule that the market will actually reverse. You understand? So I'm going to enter my sells here and then put my stop loss below. My take profit, I'm going to put it here because I know definitely this is going to be respected and the market is going to take the direction. So guys, make sure that if you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section. You understand? So this is one thing that I want you guys to understand and basically know when it comes to the market. This is how the market really moves, and this is what the market really respects. You understand? So I always use this strategy. In most cases, understand, every trade that I enter, it could be coming from the diagonal trend, diagonal support and diagonal resistance. So sometimes you can see this can be your support. So it actually means that you're actually entering on your support, understand? And this could be your resistance as well, showing that you are entering at your resistance. So it can be a diagonal resistance and a resistance as well, and that makes it a proper entry point. You understand? So now let me jumping into the chart, and we're only gonna speak about a diagonal trend and a diagonal support. Let's go. So yeah, guys, we're going to actually analyze third touch so that we understand what is it that we actually are speaking about. You understand? So this actually plays a bigger role in order for us to understand how the market really works. Understand? So I'm going to actually start from this point here. I feel like at this certain point we can have a third touch. As you can see, guys, the market nearly hit our third touch there, but we can just go to the waves and see if was this a third touch or not. No, that was never a third touch. The market nearly hit it. You understand? So we're still gonna look, and then we're going to actually get what is it that we're actually looking for. You understand? In most cases, I know very well that the market always respects that. You understand? So some could have used the candlesticks, and which was here, and they could have got a proper third touch. Let me actually check like this. Yeah, actually it's a third touch, guys, because we use the second touch, and the second touch it's here. So if you can see, this was just your first touch, right? And then the market came again and gave us a second touch here. On the third touch, it gave us an entry point at this certain point here. This could be your sniper entry that you are in. This is you eating the market from this point, from this and then to the top side there at the top side, you see. So in most cases, I say put your take profit here because this is where the market is actually coming from, or here as well. Then this could be you eating the whole market going to the top side. You understand? So even when the market is pushing to the top side, that touch could have actually happened in the top side. It's obvious. Understand? So here we have your first touch and we have your second touch here. So those I must see it in the smaller time frame perfectly. Let me push to H1. You see, this was your second touch, and then at this certain top, you have your third touch at this. So this is when you are using a third touch strategy, which has a 90% rule of the market to reverse. Brokers are going to be afraid now because you're learning something that is so good and it can actually make a lot of sense. One thing about the market, I like the fact when it's making sense. If you can check here, we have our first touch. This was our first touch there at the top side. I'm just going to play around with Trendline so that you can be able to see and understand what is it that I'm actually talking about. You understand? So here you have your first touch, and then you come back again. You have your second touch here, and then it could be your third touch as well, because if you can check, I believe this can be your second touch because this was your second touch here, and this could be your third touch. This is you milking, and then on the fourth touch, yeah, that is actually your third touch here, right? And then second touch is there, and then if you can check, at this point you had your trade profit to the bottom side. So this is the strategy that I've been using for many years, and it's been working for me perfectly. So with me changing strategies, it's not actually easy because I have strategies that really works for me and they work perfectly. See what is happening there. The only thing that I need is just to take a trend line and go to the bottom side. You're gonna see this was our first touch, right? And then we come back, we have our second touch. You see what is happening, and then we go again, we have our third touch here. clean, it went to the profit, and then it just went dropped, and then at this certain point it decided to reverse. Even at this point we had our third touch as well here. So actually our third touch is here, if you can check very well. It's first, second, third here, and then it pushes to the bottom side. And then we're gonna go again, we take this trend line to the top. So we're just playing around with the trend line so that we'll be able to see that every time when the market reaches the third touch, it takes an opposite direction. So this was our second one, and then our third one was there at the top side there. See what the market did. You know, even if you create trend lines inside a trend, you're still gonna get the same answers. You understand? It's first, and then it's the second one, and then it's the third one. You can see here we had our first, second, third, it sold. So sometimes when I used to trade, when I started, you know, I only looked for third touches only, you know, and I believe that that could have that have made me more profitable, because I had a strategy that I had to apply in order for me to get certain trades. So for me that was perfect. You know, I know that it won't actually respect every trade that you take. You know, it's a lie if I would say it will respect every trade that you take, but most of those trades that you're taking, it's going to respect, and that's what we're actually looking for. You understand? Because, you know, it's no way that we are looking for a perfect strategy. We are looking for a strategy that we can use, that we can utilize and make profits out of it. You understand? So sometimes it might not operate, and you need to be sure that you're throwing it at the right point. You understand? So I'm just looking for a trend line here. Let me actually push on H4 and then come back again at a certain point. So what I'm looking for, it's actually third touch. And I just want to show you guys, the only thing that you need is just a third touch. You see, remember guys, this is not a financial advice, guys. This is just for educational purposes. This is our first video with the board, so I feel like this will actually be fruitful, even though guys my camera shifted while I was teaching. So on the other videos we're gonna manage it perfectly. So first touch, second touch. On the third one, I feel like even this one basically work. You understand? On the third one, we can just say is this one here. Understand? You can see what it did, touched, and then the next thing it moved to the bottom side. And I feel like this was just a perfect trade. You know, people who have made like a lot of capital here, if only they knew how to use the strategy perfectly. And that is a good thing. You know, we are trading to make capital. We're not actually trading to be playing around here. Understand? Everybody that is trading is here to be making capital. It's obvious, man. It's obvious. You know, that zone drawn itself, but it's a story of another day. The way I like using zones, even rows itself. So yeah, this is how it is, guys. Let me just look for last third touch, then yeah, we begin. You can see this is our third touch here. This was a beautiful third touch. This is things that you need to be looking at when you trade. Understand? This is our first touch, and I told you that it's possible on the fourth touch to actually respect as well, because the only way we can see a change of direction is when the trend line is broken. Third touch, there is it, and then clean down, and then we can count from this point and say first, second, and then third again. We're killing. Understand? Again, clean down, and then once you're in some interest like that, you just have to draw your trend line again like this, so that you know that okay, where are you gonna edge your trade? You're gonna edge your trade on your third touch again. Third touch, clean again. Understand? So these are the strategies that I have been teaching for very too long, guys. You know, in my course, especially the Extreme Advanced 1.0, it's actually third touch the most powerful strategy among all of them. When it comes to the golden strategy now, it's actually the golden and the ghost moves. Those are the powerful things. So when it comes to Extreme Advanced Course 1.0, third touch became one of the craziest strategy I ever created. Understand? So let's come again. You know, you can play around with the market and just backtest. You know, the only way you can learn in the market is just for you to go around backtesting it. Understand? So I'm just gonna come here and then I'll do this. You see, so some of your mentors, maybe they're not drawing trend lines as I draw them, so now they could be learning, and so that they draw this perfectly. They shouldn't say it's not working because of how they are drawing it. So those are first touch, and then there's a second touch, and then on the third touch there's it here. You know, you can see a little bit of slow mo before it moved, but at the end of the day did what? Sold. So that's how it is. Come back again, we draw a trend line here. So you see here we didn't have a third touch, we only have first and second, so it means you couldn't have had your entry point. So sometimes if you don't have your entry point, that's not a problem, man. That's not a problem. Okay, so it says we ran out of candlesticks. You see, these things of not paying, it's not gonna work. You see, so first, it also works best on gold. Second, I believe even a newbie person now is now aware of how he's going to actually enter his entries from today. And then 3rd-Touch here, you see. So this is how I actually enter my trades, guys. This is the first strategy that I use in most cases. So today you just learned one of the best strategies that I use when it comes to trading. And I believe that from today, you guys gonna be making something out of the chart, you understand? And remember, like I said, guys, this is not a financial advice. This is actually for educational purposes. If you want to financial advice, you should contact people with valid licenses to actually whatever, I don't know, but like that. So if you can see here, I'm trying to look for a 3rd-Touch. I'm trying to look for a 3rd-Touch as well. There's our first, second, first. Our first is here. Let's give it a good touch. And then you can see on the 3rd-Touch, it took you out. That is why I say on the daily time frame, it's not the strategy that I eat with, because I believe that on the daily time frame, man, the manipulation could be so bad. You see here, first, second, third, you ate. So this is how the strategy really works, guys. I really appreciate your time and your effort, guys. Please make sure you subscribe on my YouTube channel, Nasdaq Ninja. That's where I actually teach for free. See you guys on the other side. Thank you, guys.